Woj, the stage is yours.
Greedy, Bradley Beal, the All-Star guard in Washington, has agreed to a 2-year, $72 million max contract extension. His agent, Mark Bartelstein, tells me this morning that keeps him under contract with a player option in 2022, 2023. That keeps him now under contract and out of free agency for the next 3 years. It is a remarkable commitment from Beal to an organization that is in a downturn now. Ted Leonsis, their owner, Tommy Shepard, their new GM, sold Beal in these last few months on a future in Washington, and he can opt out of his deal in 3 years, and if he re-signs in Washington, could sign the biggest deal in league history. 5 years, $266 million. But the ripple effects are felt all over the league because this was a player who contenders, there's not a team in the league who didn't want to get involved in a Bradley Beal trade scenario. Now he is, that conversation will not happen. He is committed to Washington, and this is a great day for the Wizards.
No question about it. So there's so much to unpack in this story. Let's briefly start there. We are living in a time where star players are forcing their way out of good teams, much less teams that are struggling. So this is quite a statement that Bradley Beal is making about Washington.
It's a massive statement for the Wizards and Tommy Shepard. So my thing is, in an age where Kevin Durant leaves Golden State, you have Kawhi that leaves Toronto after winning a championship. Now you're having Bradley Beal say, I want to stay here in D.C. And actually, he didn't counter at all throughout the course of the year. He said, this is going to be a year of patience. I have to reevaluate all my decisions, but I want to be here. That says huge statement for the Washington Wizards.
Look, I mean, we're at a time where football players are forcing their way out of teams they don't want to be on anymore. So Bradley Beal makes the huge commitment to stay in Washington. They'll rebuild around him. In the meantime, let's put some names to the teams that you think are very disappointed this morning, Woj. Who is it out there that thought they were very much in contention to get Bradley Beal and thought he was the missing piece for a championship?
Well, certainly the Miami Heat have been a team that would have loved to have gotten him. The Lakers, teams like the Clippers, the Brooklyn Nets, the Boston Celtics, anybody who has assets, eventually would have tried to get involved in Washington with Bradley Beal. Teams have been calling for months. When Tommy Shepard took over this team in July as GM from the interim job, this was something no one saw coming. The feeling around the league was eventually Beal would push his way out like a lot of other players had. But Mark Bartelstein told me this morning, from the very beginning, Bradley Beal told him, I want to make it work in Washington. And Bartelstein, Beal, Ted Leonsis, Tommy Shepard, multiple meetings over the last few months, and Leonsis, Shepard sold him on a vision of rebooting this organization. Remember, they still have John Wall on a massive contract. He is probably going to miss this whole season, but there's some young pieces there, Thomas Bryant, who they will start to try to reshape this roster around.
So let's just think this through for a moment here. There are no huge free agents that we expect to be available next summer. Take the name Anthony Davis out of that. He's not going anywhere. He's staying in L.A. So this was the big fish that everyone was waiting for, and now he is no longer available for other teams. So this, I think, really does reshape a lot of people's plans right now.
Think about the best backcourts in the NBA. When you think about Steph and Clay, when Clay comes back, Dame, CJ, you will put John Wall and Bradley Beal in that conversation when John Wall comes back. The East is open, guys. I mean, Milwaukee's good. They're the same team as they were last year, minus Malcolm Brogdon. They still have some good pieces. You think about, what's happening in Toronto. They're kind of on a downturn. Philadelphia, it could be an implosion year for them if they don't win the whole thing. It could be open for Washington to regroup and regather.
And just very quickly, and math has never been my strong suit, but when you and I were briefly catching up on this before we came out here, you mentioned the extension he could sign if he gets to his 10th year would be 5 years.
260.
260?
Oh.
$266 million. That would be the biggest deal in league history. If he left, went somewhere else, 4 years, about $200 million.
I would stay too.
I'm proud to tell you, I didn't need to use a pencil to figure out that's $53 million and change per year.
That would be the biggest contract.
It would be the biggest ever.
Yes.
Jay, Will, $53 million a year for a basketball player. I don't even know what to say.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.